Good afternoon to all of our viewers. Welcome to episode 13.
13. That's
13 of
10-3.
10 and 3 of Everything to Gain,
Yep.
where we talk about making positive changes in your life. And today we are going to talk about
Authenticity.
authenticity. So we decided that why not be truly authentic and be in the same room as this guy,
Yeah.
right?
So this is the first episode we've done together live in the same room.
Yeah, and we are here. We are broadcasting live from New York City at the Rainforest Art Foundation, which has expanded and will be the future home of the Marley and You Museum. So I will just quickly.
It's a great space, guys.
I will just quickly pan around and just let you guys see what's going on here. We are broadcasting from here.
It's gorgeous.
So thank you so much to everybody for joining us today. So Mark, authenticity.
Yeah. So quick context. Dan and I had a conversation recently, and it was that everyone wants to be authentic online, but it's not as easy as it sounds. And so we figured we would talk about the challenges, some tips and tricks for how you can be more authentic, and what that benefits, how that benefits you, what it brings you.
Right. And so, let's just start with defining what authenticity is, right?
Sure.
So, what do you think authenticity is?
I would say being authentic is nothing more than being your honest self, like sincerity.
Right. Sincerity, and then communicate in an honest way, right? So
Yeah.
It's kind of like the old saying from Ben Franklin, right? Honesty is the best policy, right? So,
You know what Ben Franklin would say if he were alive right now? Sorry. That's so authentic
it's
is
a little morbid humor.
if you're a little goofy and that's your authentic you, then that's really it. Like
Right.
you've got to be you.
Right, and he's pretty goofy, this guy right here. So, and then there's books out there that you can read about authenticity, about being open and honest in your communication. Radical Candor is a book that I've grown to love by Kim Scott. And then there's the opposite, like there's the Fable, right?
Yeah, right.
Right. It's the boy who cried wolf. Like
That's not being authentic.
that's not being authentic. So, let's think about a couple examples.
I want to touch on one thing. The radical candor, I think people have trouble with that because if it comes from a place of empathy, it works.
Right.
Otherwise, you're just a douche. Like it's no, really. Like
Like-
being candorous is nice if they know you're trying to be like helpful.
But if you're not, then you're that terrible coworker, that
Right.
That really mean boss.
And something
Right.
about authenticity, which ties in, everyone knows when you're really being authentic and when you're pretending.
Right. Well, it's also it's and we'll get to like how we can shape that, right? But just a couple of examples, right, of being authentic. So when the McFlurry machine at McDonald's was broken, right? Sorry, we can't make you any McFlurries today, right? And that's being open and and
When was
candid.
the last time you had a McFlurry? But yeah, you're right.
Right. So, but then also you have to be comfortable with yourself.
Yeah.
To be authentic,
Right.
And if you're not authentic, maybe it's something to do with you, and that's okay.
That's a great starting point, though. Being comfortable with yourself. Most people say they are, but they're not really. Because how many folks say, "I don't want to put myself out there"? That's it. That's not being authentic.
Yeah. So put yourself out there on LinkedIn or wherever or
Right.
social, right? Because ultimately you want to communicate to whoever that's out there, your authentic self, right? And then in business, it's also about the product,
Yep.
right? So making sure that you're talking about the product in
So,
an honest way.
There's
right?
a lesson there. Everyone's product does everything for everyone, right? It's all the best,
Right.
And that's not.
We're number one.
And we all know that's not true. And you can't really tell your boss that if you're self-employed, you don't want to undercut your own self. But the reality is, the more candorous you can be and say, I'm not good at this, but I am good at this. My product is not the best fit for you, although it could do that. But here's where it really shines.
Right.
That's how you couch that.
Right. And it could be just how your product is made. Like
Right.
we don't do X, but we do Y and Z.
Right.
Right. And just be completely open and honest about it. And I think that way your prospective customers, they'll be like, you know what, that person didn't try to just shove a thing down my throat.
Right.
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 So okay, we talked about being comfortable in your own skin, right? And people that I don't want to put myself out there, right? So there's that kind of fear.
Oh, for sure.
Right. So fear. So
Which is legit, because if you have an employer, or again, if you want to try to win your own business for yourself, you don't want to lose an opportunity. You don't want to get fired.
Right.
But the reality is, you're not going to fool anybody either. Customers know.
right. So we have to overcome that fear.
Yep.
So what are you hiding? Maybe what are you hiding from?
So,
Right, so-
I don't think you need to be afraid if you're being honest. When you say to someone,
Yeah.
Like I've often coached clients and they've been like, I'm uncomfortable putting myself out there. You know these people. And they'll say, I'll tell them the advice is say that. Say, I am not comfortable doing this.
Right.
I don't
Own it. Oh, just own it.
Own it. Like I know I'm reaching out to you cold. I don't do this a lot. I'm not comfortable reaching out. However, I think this can benefit you. Here's why.
Right. And even and that's a direct message, but even in like just a regular post, say, hey, this is my first post in a very long time because I've been comfortable with it.
Right.
Right. And just own it and then say it. And people will be like, oh my God, this is awesome. I'm so glad I've seen it a million times. I'm so glad they're posting. Would love to hear more from you.
Right.
And what does that do for you? That gives you a little bit of confidence, right?
Absolutely. Credibility.
And then you can have a little more empathy for yourself, right? And a little more EQ as you interact with whoever you're talking to.
That's a good point, by the way. EQ is not just something for other people. Like you should be empathetic with yourself. Forgive yourself quickly, move on, make yourself comfortable to do things that you're not. That's a fact.
Yeah, and I think we've all kind of grown up in that society, that era, right? That's
the corporate world, right? You can't make a mistake. That's college.
It's even like from when we're just a little kid, right? Getting an A is great. Getting big, not so good, right? So, it's a B is an Asian F, right? So,
yeah, absolutely, I agree.
So with that, right, that lifetime of being told that you're not good enough, like that's been hampering you this entire time. So,
I'm going to share with the audience what I tell my kids. Like, you have to be your own greatest cheerleader in life because there's going to be no shortage of peanut gallery to tell you suck. So you want to be authentic. It starts by accepting yourself and owning yourself.
Right. So it's okay. Whatever your story is, whatever it is, it's okay. Just own it and then talk about it. Yeah. Right. And even talk about things like everyday things, right? The everyday thing, like if you're walking your dog and you're posting about it, or you're going to go see a client and you're posting about it, those are everyday things that you can do. So the benefits of authenticity.
It builds trust. It creates connection. It helps people come to believe in you.
Credibility.
Right?
Credibility is everything, right? And if you continue to be authentic, that actually creates this loyalty factor that, oh, wow, they're actually loyal to me. They're bringing their authenticity to me. So then honesty and authenticity, it cuts through the misconceptions.
I think that people don't recognize that if you stay who you are the whole way through, which is easy if it's you, it just builds trust. If you suddenly do the left turn and they're like, wait a minute, he's not the person I thought he was. It turns out that Dano's not beer in one hand, microphone in the other.
Yeah, and then it's almost like you see it coming from a mile away, that bad sales guy.
Oh, God.
Right? Yeah. Okay, so.
Did we work with that guy?
So my favorite example of a bad sales guy is from the movie Fargo, right? So Bill Macy's the used car salesman. And he's selling the undercoating.
I love your pop culture.
Yeah, I mean, I can't help it, right?
Go, keep going.
I see it, right? And I'm going, that's so inauthentic. And what happens? The customer is so bereft. He's so angry. He's just sad and angry at the same time. And so it's because Bill Macy's character is not authentic. Right. So,
by the way, nothing gets under people's skin more than inauthentic.
Right.
I'd rather you just be straight dishonest with me than deceive me and then be dishonest with me.
So now what's really funny about lying, right? Mm-hmm. So just straight up lying is actually a typical sitcom or comedy type of mechanism, right? So like the person gets in a little bit of trouble, but then they lie about it, and that lie continues to grow and grow and grow. And so
there's a George Costanza comment here somewhere.
It's George Costanza. Yeah. I mean, it's perfect.
Can I go to Three's Company? Is that too?
Any sitcom. I mean, like there's always
they're all Ted Lasso. They're all.
There's a kid or whoever they're usually the dad. Right?
It's always the
dad. They're like, oh no, I forgot to do the thing, right? So if you're inauthentic, what happens? The lies grow and grow and grow. So I was actually thinking about what are my favorite examples of lying in pop culture, and I thought about Shakespeare's Twelfth Night.
Pop culture, Shakespeare.
Shakespeare. So like
we're not educated enough to hang with you,
Dano. Viola, she disguises herself as a man, falls for this guy Duke Orsini, who's actually in love with this other woman, Olivia, right? But then Olivia falls in love with Viola because she thinks Viola's a man, right? And so comedy ensues, right?
Catching up on Shakespeare, learning about authenticity.
What else can you do on a Thursday?
It's true though. You're right, and I think that not the lying factor is every sales gone wrong. There was some form of inauthentic, some form of inconsistency.
Right. Or as in trading, right?
Erroneous?
No, the like a bad trade, like you would call it a wooden ticket.
Yes.
The wooden ticket. You'd have a trade like, I really screwed this one up, and you just like throw it in the drawer.
You throw it at the bust adjust.
Yeah, so you would just kind of like hope it works out, and what ends up happening is that little lie will just grow and grow and grow, guaranteed, guaranteed. So now that we know about the overcoming fear and kind of the bad examples of being authentic, right, or the opposite of authentic. Now, what would be the competitive advantages of being authentic?
Oh God, like people want to do business with you. Number one, if I don't like you, but I trust you, like that happens, believe it or not. There's people that I think I don't want to hang out with them, but I would do business with them. There's people that, no, it's true though. Like once that you've gotten that trust factor built and they know who they're dealing with, let's put it that way.
Right.
They're going to want to do business with someone that they're on the level.
Right. And so that actually is a competitive advantage because now they'll say, I'm going to go there because I know that product or that person that's going to cover me. Right. And actually, you told me this story about when you went to the bank in London.
Which one?
Well, you visited the bank in London and they liked you enough.
Oh,
Said, okay, great. This is going to work out. Let's go have a pint of beer.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
the funny part was he threw all my sales material in the trash. Everything I'd said, everything I showed him, he didn't care. He was like, I just want to know who you are, Mark. That was and it's true for you. It's true for all of us.
Right. And so being authentic, is that attractor.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's so easy because no one does it. It's like, this sounds ridiculous, but being nice, being honest, being trustworthy in business becomes a differentiating factor. It's horrible, but it's true.
Right. And then ends up that a lot of people get called out for being authentic.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like,
I love how authentic you are. How often do you hear that? You hear that all the time. I know you do.
Well, I think you do too as well. But I think people that have been authentic, like famous people like Prince Harry, he gets called out for being authentic, right? Taylor Swift gets called out for being authentic, right? Malala Yousafzai got shot in the head because she was authentic, right?
Dave Grohl,
right? Like they all of these people, they were authentic, true to themselves, and then what happened? They actually made it through.
Oh yeah. And by the way, people root for other people who are making it when they're authentic.
Right.
You want those folks to win.
So, okay, strategies for authenticity. What can we do? What are the tips and tricks of creating an authentic persona online?
All right, number one, you never want to be making stuff up on the spot ever. So you always want to go into any situation of business prepared. I know that sounds basic. It sounds like your mom, right? But it's like, otherwise, the minute they feel like you're grasping and spinning your wheels and trying to, that may be true because you're trying to remember stuff, but it comes across as inauthentic.
Right. And so the 7 Ps, right? Proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance.
That's a lot of letters.
That's a lot of Ps. It's 7 of them.
I'm going to use the restroom.
So the 7 Ps, you got to prepare, right? Then it should be ready to go.
Yeah. Right. So when you go in prepared, people automatically feel like they're in good hands. Right.
Right. So then after that, got to show up.
Right. So
often and consistent.
Consistency matters. I think that if you are always the same person every time and you do what you say you're going to do, that builds authenticity.
Yeah. And so, okay. So, but it also lets people know that you care, right?
Yeah.
Care enough to show up again and again and again.
Right. And honestly, expressing that. How often have you, I've seen you do this. I really want you to know I appreciate your business. Simplest sentence in the world and nobody says it.
Right. I appreciate and for prospects, I appreciate the opportunity to compete for your business.
Yeah. Right.
Right. Like of course I appreciate it, and I might as well spell it out instead of just saying, thanks for the meeting.
Yep.
Right. No, I appreciate the opportunity to compete for your business.
Little behind the scenes here. I'm on my way here for this recording, and Dano hits me up and he's like, I just wanted you to know I really appreciate you making the effort. And I respond, I really appreciate the honor of the invitation. And like, it wasn't being fake. It's like, once you build these habits, you build these habits.
Well, I appreciate that you appreciate that. I appreciate that you came here. So
customers don't get told they are appreciated enough.
No. You got to really go to that level where you spell it out for them.
I was working for an investment bank in 2004. You can check my LinkedIn if you want to know which one. And I call up a customer, and it's a big one. And the customer cuts me off and says, I just want you to know I hate your bank. I hate everything about it. I have to do business with you guys. So hopefully I'll like you. That's the intro. I was like, all right, I can work on that.
Wait, is he coming tonight?
60% chance. So anyway, how else? What else can we do to build authenticity? What's a tip?
Well, I think showing appreciation and then actually doing the thing that you said you were going to do.
Yep.
Right? Being transparent, right, is so key, right? So
yeah.
And we talked about that before, like just owning the limitations of the services or the products that you offer, right? So if you can own that, just own it.
Yeah. So
it's okay. Everything's going to be fine.
For those who come from the Wall Street world will know this. It's always you want to be top 3 in everything, right? You want to be top 3 in investment bank, top 3 in trading.
But they know.
Right. So you say we compete in that area. This is our strength. You don't want to say I suck in this, but you want to let them know, I know that you know the truth. I trust you and I'm telling you where we can really help you.
Right. So when you embrace the vulnerability, when you embrace
the vulnerability as a tip, right?
The limitations, so vulnerability and limitations, that's a little bit different, but it actually is kind of the same thing, right? Because it all ties.
You know what else? What we're doing right now? It's sharing stories, storytelling.
Yep.
When you give people a little inside scoop and tell them a bit about how you got to where you go, they're like, all right, I'm in. I'm bought in on this person. Stories. Very endearing.
And this guy likes to tell stories. This guy over here.
You of all people.
Well, so by the way, and then in every chat that we have, even though we've known each other for 30 years, 30 years this year,
possible.
We still do the thing where we say, hey, is there anything that I or my network can do to help you?
Yeah.
Right. You just offer the help.
But there always is. There's always something that you didn't think of or I didn't think of that, like, oh, I didn't. You know what? I'm working on something that there may be some overlap.
Right. I think the reason why we're always comfortable in asking that question of each other as well as other people is we understand there's timing involved, right? So you asking the question to whoever 3 weeks ago, oh, I don't need anything today. But if you ask that question today, like, oh yeah, actually
times change.
Because you never know, right? Because it's just a spur of the moment, right? And that's the sales cognitive gap technique.
One of my favorite phrases is just put it in your back pocket. I don't know if I can help you or not, but keep it in your back pocket. Know that I'm there if you need me. That counts.
So being authentic is actually, I think, one of the most important traits of not just engaging, but of leaders. Right?
It's definitely a lacking trait in most leaders.
Right. So with leadership, what were some of the most, I guess, impressive things about authentic leaders that you saw?
When I see someone's being authentic and they're upfront, even when things aren't going well, I want to help them. So there are often times where you can make your boss look bad by doing nothing and there's no fingerprints on it. Other times where you can help this person out and it will benefit you eventually.
Right.
And a good leader inspires people with authenticity, whether they know they're doing it or not. It's not an intentional act. People are drawn to authentic people.
Right.
So leadership demands.
So being an authentic leader not only inspires your team, but actually it's self-serving.
Oh yeah.
Right. So authentic leaders that are good to their employees and their customers, they actually will get the benefits backwards. So
here's a story. One of my first bosses, Joe, you know who he is.
Yeah.
When I get hired on the team, it's a pretty big promotion for me back in the day. I'm a kid and I go up to him and I'm like, I want to work hard, do whatever I can. And he goes, I'll make you a deal, Mark. You don't F me and I won't F you. And that was it. I was like, okay, I didn't know what that meant. And here's the point, how it ties to this podcast. It's got to do with integrity. When they trust you, you want to live up to the expectation. So when I see a leader who's authentic, who's got integrity, I want to be part of that team. I want to
right.
be.
Right. And so then you want to not just be a part of that team. You want to run through a brick wall for that leader.
Because I know he would do it for me or she would do it for me.
Right. And that leader then actually gets their goals quicker. And what ends up happening, they get paid bigger bonuses. So if you're a leader, there is every reason to be authentic. It's not just good for your team. It's also good for you.
I also want to bring the benefit of 60 years of corporate experience here. The higher up the chain you go in any field,
we're so old.
Right? And no matter what field you're in, creator economy, Wall Street, doesn't matter. The more authentic the people are, because down at the bottom you got all the BS artists. But by the time to advance, for people to support you and follow you in successful teams, it's just by nature of the fact you're at the rarefied air of people with authenticity.
Right, and then that's assumed that once you get there, you continue to be that person with
You are who
integrity,
you say you are.
right? You are transparent, right, about things, and that actually creates even more EQ and empathy and authenticity for your whole organization.
Which, by the way, in an AI world, don't forget that people piece of like authentic and integrity
100%.
becomes more valuable, not less. Because in a world where I don't ever even need to engage with you, I damn well want to know where my money's going. Who am I supporting here financially?
100%. So, any final thoughts around authenticity?
I think the biggest thing is get over yourself. Like everyone has the ability to be authentic. I do recognize, and we've talked offline privately, it's harder for employees of big companies. I reckon on social talking. I get that. But the truth is the truth is the truth. If you're not authentic, you won't advance as quickly.
Right. Got to be honest. I mean, and that's actually, if you're an employee, the most important skill, right? It's do your job well, manage up, be transparent, right? So you got to manage up. So to all of you out there, continue to be authentic, right? And if you think you're inauthentic because you're afraid to get out there, please try to get out there, try to put yourself out there, practice in front of a mirror, practice with your closest friends, right? Your family. And
best piece of advice is what you said, Dan. Own it. Like just say, I'm not comfortable doing this, but this is my best effort at it. I'm learning.
Right.
People support people like that.
Yeah. And actually when you get that little bit of support, it feels just so good, right? To get a little shot of dopamine in the arm, right? And like, oh, wow, somebody liked my post, right? Of me trying to be authentic. Somebody liked it. And then they said, oh, let's have more of that. Okay, I'll do another one and another one.
Years ago, I used to do this Instagram walks to the reels. You remember this? I'd be walking to work and I would give a sales tip. And I got made fun of for that a lot in the beginning. But then pretty soon it was getting me job offers. So like my point is, in the beginning, it's uncomfortable. But over time, it bears fruit.
Right. And it's all about that having that courage, right? So being brave enough to suck at something new, right?
We're doing this live here at a museum.
This is our first time. Yeah. In a museum.
You're right.
So
how many of you podcasted from a museum before?
I know one.
Oh,
this one.
Fair point.
So everybody, to the audience, thank you so much for joining us again on Everything to Gain, the two of us. The E2G Show. We are at E2G Show on YouTube and on Twitch. You can watch this video again and again if you really want to on YouTube at E2G Show. I want to thank DJ Metronics for our intro and music. So thank you for listening this week. We appreciate the support. Yeah. Great weekend. Next week, back here, looking live. YouTube, Twitch. Everything in the game.
Peace out, everybody.